Welcome back. So today, let's recap what happened. Bitcoin, it's always strong, okay? And that's because people believe in it. People want to opt out of the shenanigans. People hate the fact that we even have to worry about inflation and all this stuff because it seems like every so often we have monetary easing, then monetary tightening, and Powell is always blamed and he's trying to fix things and it seems like it's impossible. That's why people are turning to Bitcoin. And that's why not just people, companies, institutions, they continue to do so. So here's another story. BitDeer raises $330 million to expand their Bitcoin mining and AI operations. Obviously, they are a mining company, but they want to expand further, like every other Bitcoin mining company out there. And there are many, like Mara, that are raising debt to buy more Bitcoin. And you have others that are just trying to expand right now as much as possible. It's really the new gold rush, if you think about it, among these mining companies. And, you know, the reason why Bitcoin continues to go up in value, okay, is simply because of the supply. There's just not enough, especially with ETFs and companies and big institutions that are buying hundreds of millions to billions every single week. Just remember, there will only be 21 million Bitcoin. About 20 million has been released. So in the next 100 years, everyone's fighting for the 1 million. But just remember, there are more millionaires out there, way more millionaires out there than there will ever be in terms of Bitcoin. So not every millionaire can buy a Bitcoin right now. They may try, but it's going to jack the price up. And that's the reason why Bitcoin ultimately will continue to move higher, because there's just not enough. There's not enough to go around. It's really that simple, right? And if you look at this, this is a long-term holder supply, continues to go up, and it correlates obviously with Bitcoin's price trajectory. So it's all lining up. And we have a lot of fractal patterns that make it look very, very similar to previous cycles and previous parabolic runs. And this one right now is looking very, very similar to 2017. And 2017, Bitcoin went from $1,000 to $20,000. This time around, our bottom is not at 1,000, it's at 15,000. But can we do a 15,000 to 200,000, 300,000? The way things are shaping up right now, with more and more people coming in and loading up, especially the institutions and the big money, the whale money, especially with them leading the way, you know what? Things are going to be bright. Now, outside of Bitcoin being strong, I mentioned a lot of people made a lot of money today, right? If you focused on this one category, this one niche, okay? And that niche is stablecoins. So yesterday, obviously, I talked about the Genius Act being passed, right, by the Senate. Now it has to go through the House, and the House has some other things that I mentioned. They have their own version of the Genius Bill, but one way or another, it seems like we'll get bipartisan support. We're going to get some kind of stablecoin bill, and that's why we have a lot of companies skyrocketing. And the reason why this is so important, because you got Benson and others talking about how, hey, stablecoins and embracing stablecoins can actually lock in dollar supremacy, cause a lot more private companies to get involved with stablecoins. And guess what? Stablecoins are backed by the dollar. So ultimately, it's going to help the dollar and help treasuries. So that's why they are so bullish on it. But also from a technology standpoint, it just makes a lot of sense. There's so many companies that can actually benefit. In fact, look at this. Walmart and Amazon, they're both, obviously tech giants. They sell a lot of goods. They have a ton of transactions. They've been paying a ton of fees, eating those fees. from Visa, MasterCard, and probably American Express. And by using stablecoins, they could bypass it. They could come out with their own stablecoins. They could adopt a stablecoin from other company. And that's why these credit card companies are not feeling good. And these credit card companies are also adopting stablecoin. They're testing out stablecoin networks because they also want to reduce their own fees. See, this is the future. This is the future. That is why today, although not crypto, but crypto related, Coinbase stock and Circle stock skyrocketed to the moon. Okay, those of you guys that tune in every morning, I look at the price of Circle and Coinbase, and Circle has been on fire. Circle went up 33% today, and Coinbase went up 16%. A lot of people don't know that Coinbase owns a small portion of Circle, 3.5%, but earns 50% of the interest revenue. So Coinbase, part owner, they benefit greatly, or they will benefit greatly from this. Same thing with Circle. As soon as this gets passed, right? We got through the first hurdle. We got to get to the second hurdle. Then it's good. But these companies made out like a bandit, and so many others are looking to see if they can take advantage. Okay, big banks like JP Morgan and others, they're looking at coming up with their own, or again, utilizing what we have now. And of course, stablecoins is so important to DeFi, right? We have a lot of companies within the space that utilize DeFi. I mean, any of you guys that have worked with the DEX, that have made a trade, that have staked, that have wrapped a token, created a token, I mean, more likely than not, you have, been dealing with stablecoins. It's such a big part of crypto. And there are many projects, of course, that have their own stables, and they're a little bit different than most, right? Most stables are backed by dollar, and that's what Scott Benson and everyone else wants, right? But there are some companies that are trying to come out with their own stablecoin that's a little bit different. For example, Elastos. I covered them maybe a month ago. This project has been around for a long time. They raised $20 million earlier this year to build out Bitcoin DeFi, right? And one of the ways they're doing so is by coming out this new stablecoin called BTCD. That's backed by Bitcoin. So yes, it's a native stablecoin that lives in their L2, the Bell L2 network. And it's not a wrap version, a synthetic version, nothing like that. It's a native version, and this is backed by Bitcoin, not dollars. So it's different. Why would you want that? Well, it's going to be really useful in DeFi applications. Okay, you can earn yield, and there's other aspects to this that's different, and mostly because it's Bitcoin. And you can create this new stablecoin simply by locking your Bitcoin that's still in your wallet, so you're still a custodian, into this contract, and that's how you get to create this new stablecoin. So it doesn't require you to, give up your Bitcoin. You're not sending it anywhere. You're simply locking it in your own wallet and creating it. So this is unique. And there's many other projects that are going down this footstep, right? Trying to create their own stablecoin. They want to issue their own stablecoin. And with the Genius Act, a lot of these projects are able to do so. Before, you couldn't do any of this. Before, under Gary Gensler, everything was considered a security. Okay, yield was considered a security. Staking security. Stablecoin security, right? But that is no longer the case. That is why the Genius Bill is so important. That's why innovation in America is going to be different. So we're actually trying to foster innovation, not trying to kill it. Okay, so this is interesting, whatever Elastos is doing with a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin, but there are many others that are trying to come out with their own version, right? All right, guys, that is pretty much it. You know what? Tomorrow, let's see how the market reacts to what Powell said today Let's see what happens with the war tomorrow. Okay? And I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.